Welcome to the She Build Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building? Welcome to the She Build Show. I have an amazing guest that I am so honored to have on the show today, Erin Stetzer of Stetzer Builders from Texas. Welcome to the show, Erin.
Thank you, Stefanie. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I've been like stalking you for so long and watching all of your stuff because you just like someone to be admired. And I'm honestly so grateful that you took some time to chat with me today. And your work is beautiful. The quality of your work is beautiful. What you stand for in terms of just giving an exemplary customer service and the attention to detail blows my mind.
Yeah, well, I would say that's the same boat you're in. So I think we have a lot in common there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So can I just start with I want to know your backstory a little bit. How did you get, started in construction? Was your family in it? Did you just kind of go rogue? Where did all this come from?
Yeah. So really it was not planned. So when I reflect on how in the world did I land here, there were a couple of things that influenced the decision. One, I was in corporate America and I cannot sit at a desk. I was right out of college. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. But when I reflect back, I played Division I basketball in college. So, for 18 years of my life, it was constant feedback from creating a project, and that could be a game, right? And strategizing around that project and figuring out how to win, how to do, how to be, at the, Division I is top 1% of all athletes, right?
Absolutely.
So
my brother was a Division I swimmer, so I know very much what that means. That is not a minor feat. That is big. Yeah. That's intense.
Yeah. It's just part of the system, part of your brother and a part of anyone who plays Division I sports. So, before I got married, my husband, so my boyfriend at the time, was a builder, and I was in corporate America. And I was like, that is the coolest job ever. And I just, I thought, and it's wild to say this now, but I was like, oh, I'm a little afraid. It's all guys, and I don't know anything about this, and it's a little scary. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, what am I talking about? So anyway, so I lined my interviews up and started with a production builder, which is a builder that, they build lots and lots of homes, hundreds of homes, and, in a neighborhood, right? So they're building 100 homes of the same 5 floor plans. So learned on their turf. And then when we started to have kids.
What was your position at the production?
Yeah, so I was a superintendent. So,
did you start there, or did you how did you get a superintendent job not knowing anything about construction?
Yeah, well, a few interviews. I will say one of the interviews, I actually was told that they had one problem. I couldn't be a builder, and it was because I was a woman. And I was like, I can't believe you just said that.
Watch me.
Wow, yeah, that's exactly. I said, yeah. I did. I said, watch me. So, started off with a bigger company, and they have training programs.
Okay. So they kind of taught you.
Yes. Yeah. So I worked for David Weekley Homes, and I had a mentor, and I shadowed builders for about 6 months. And then, just sort of soaked everything in, learned, we had a big booklet that tells you what happens, at dirt phase, at foundation phase, at, plumbing, HVAC, electrical. And we have this checklist. So I just soaked myself into the information and started building. And then eventually, 6 months later, they would, give me a home, and 3 homes or 7 homes. And then they load you up. So it becomes very
stressful.
yeah, it's a lot to handle and you have to, figure it out. So that's
Wow.
kind of the building scoop, how I got into it.
So you just went for it. You were like, well, I'll try to find a job in this industry. It looks fun because I can be outside and I don't have to sit at my desk. But it didn't have anything to do with your degree from college.
Correct. So I will say, so I had a finance degree in college. So I had some background in how to manage money and how to budget and accounting and, the basics. I did know that when I took the job at David Weekley Homes that I would start my own business when we
Oh, you
started having
did.
kids. Mm-hmm.
You had
Yeah,
that
because
like inkling.
yeah. So to me, it was always a place to learn. How quickly can I learn? How much can I soak in? And then, when we started a family, I wanted to merge the two where I could be with my kids and my husband, but also build. And so there are some definite strategies and tactics there that have really helped me figure out how to, serve everyone well, serve my family well, serve my clients well. There's a whole thing there, whole recipe there.
I love that. So after, you know, how long did you work for that production build company?
2 years.
Okay, and then you went like directly into starting to build your business? Or
Yes.
was there a period of time where you're like, okay, I had kiddos, then I slowed down, or what was the journey there, timeline?
Yeah. So my last day of work at the production home building company was the day before I had our first child. Um, in the meantime, during that 2 years, I was preparing myself on, I would walk homes that are under construction and I would see it was a different level. Custom homes are a different level.
Oh
So I would
yeah.
soak in, like what are they doing differently here? Like trim carpenters, or what hinges are they using on the cabinets, or what level of paint? Why does this look different? So on the weekends, I would go walk open houses or homes that actually were just under construction. I would just go in because I look like I'm a female. I look like like someone who
Yeah,
wants
like a
to buy a
little,
home
yeah.
rather than, yeah,
Right.
rather than a builder. So there's a huge advantage there. So I did prepare
That's
for
so
that
funny. I
time.
do that constantly. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Do
let's
you?
go walk. All the time. Like if I'm in a different place, like it's my favorite thing to like, oh, if there's like a house under construction, like in Tahoe or a different state, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to go see what they do different than where I
Yes.
build because it's different everywhere. So that's so funny. I love doing that.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it's you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Absolutely.
Like once you're in, it's
Yeah.
everywhere. That's all you see, right?
Totally. My kids are like, no.
Don't make us.
Yeah, not another house, mom. Okay, so your kiddo was born. Yeah, did you have a boy, a
Yep.
girl? What was a little boy?
So a girl,
Oh,
a
a girl,
girl.
sorry.
Yep. So she was born, and I just started jumping into like a bathroom remodel, um, or a kitchen remodel. I bought, I bought a piece of property and built a spec home. That's like
Hmm.
where, home you're building and then you sell it along
Right.
the way or at the end of construction. So, and I would bring her with me, and that was part of my plan too.
Did
I,
you get your contractor's license?
So in Texas, you don't need a contractor's license.
Okay.
So I guess if I were in Florida or some of the other states
California.
that, California, yeah,
Yeah.
that would have happened probably while I was in production building, if that were the case.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they just don't require, you can just build a house and not have any governing body whatsoever.
you can in Texas, and there are lots of pros and a lot of cons that go with that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure.
yeah, yeah, there are.
Okay, so you just started diving in and getting clients, and at this point, did you like start your company and name it and like fully, dive in, or just take on projects as you could? How did you get your crew?
All of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that. Like I literally started the company when she was born, had everything lined up, and I'd pace myself, uh right. So we have 5 kids. So it's been a very paced process, because I want at that point, I didn't want my kids to know I worked. And, and so I would, that's when I developed the habit of just, I wake up. At that time, it was 2:45 in the morning, and I would work out and get my day ready, and then, feed a child. And so that lasted for probably, I don't know, maybe 12 years. And now it's pushed back to 3:35. So it's still the same mentality where I want to give them as much as I can when they're awake. And when they're sleeping, I can develop that other part of the business.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, I get up early, but I don't get up that early.
Well, I mean, everybody's
No,
different.
I am like obsessed with, I don't know, maybe, I am so mindful of being a good mother and putting my priorities in that place. And but because I've seen it, I've done it the wrong way. How did you set the intention from the beginning to be like, I'm going to put them first, and I also want this business? How did, like, that was an obvious decision from the get-go? Because when I was young, I was, I was running a new business, but I didn't know how to manage both at all.
So how did you tell me a little bit? What was your story?
Well, I ran an accounting practice with my dad, and so I did that for, gosh, 10 plus years with him. And then while I was doing that, I started in flipping. I started buying places at auction and flipping houses. And my husband worked a lot, and I don't feel like I knew how to take care of myself, how to, just be there for the kids, how to put effort into my marriage. And it's like all of my life blew up before I figured out, like, oh, I have to do this different. I've got to, like,
Got it.
you know what I mean? So it was a lot harder lesson for me, but it seems like did you learn that somewhere? Where did that come from?
Well, things blew up all the time. Right? Like there's no, of course, my husband and I, we had to really work through things. We were off balance. So we just really had to, get in balance with each other. And you're right. It was work, just like you're just exactly what you're talking about. And the kids, I think, the rule was, if I'm awake and they're awake, I'm either feeding them, we're playing, they're coming to work with me, but we're going to give every second of this a really good shot. And it was just day by day.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not planned. And of course there were bumps where I didn't do it right that day, but I was aware of, like, I'm not going to do that again. Like, let's reprogram here. Yeah. So very much like you, it's just bumpy, bumpy, bumpy.
Yeah. It's not a smooth
and still is, right? It's still bumpy.
It is still bumpy. So when you started your business, then, it sounds like, oh, I took on a couple little jobs and people started hiring me. That was 20 years ago at this point now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, the stuff that I see online are these incredible custom homes, like just incredible custom homes and custom remodels. Did you go into the business with the intention of, that's where I want to head? Or did it morph into that?
I always wanted to be a part of the best, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Just be in the 1% of whatever it is that I'm doing that day. So it has always been a part of me. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but definitely learned that, being the best means being on the best teams, like the best architects, the best designers, the best trades. And, going into it, I didn't know what that meant. But I knew once I knew better, I couldn't go backwards.
Right.
Once I knew, oh, painting trim is 21 steps. I can't hire the painter that handles this in 10 steps. Right. So I think just by knowing, just never ever going backwards or being less than what we're
the
capable of.
information, than the
Yeah.
information that you gained. With that architect and designer question, I did notice on your website that almost all of your houses, I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, I was looking through them, but mostly all of your houses have different designers. And how did that come about with that relationship of, because it doesn't seem like or if I'm wrong, let me know, your architecture and your design is in-house. It's whatever. there are other companies,
independent.
independent
Yes.
contractors outside of your business. So tell me about that structure and why you go that way, or how that happened.
Yeah. So, I think the best projects have resources that each resource is an absolute expert in what they do, and that is developed over time. So if it's an architect, that's what they're an expert in. If it's a designer, that's what they do, that's what they know, that's what they live and breathe. Builder, same thing. And so, and as long as everybody's playing well together and on the same team, then there's just synergy. It becomes an even better team, right? So 3 people now become the value of 6 people or 7 people. And that's just my perspective on honing in on just getting the absolute best for our clients. Now, there are design build firms, and so there's a model there that really works for people. Design build, there are some systems that maybe there's more efficiency, because the designer, builder, and architect can huddle up in their office every day. Mm-hmm. So I think each system aligns with whatever the client is trying to go after.
Yeah, absolutely. So do clients tend to come to you with, like, we've got this plan drawn and it's already designed and now we want you to build it? Or do they come like, hey, I've got a piece of land, what do we do? What point do they arrive?
Right. So either of those. If they, if their friend said, hey, we built with Erin Stetzer, you should give her a call. We get on the phone. My first recommendation is to align them with the right architect. So that's awesome. They came to me, but I'm not your girl right now. Right now, we need to figure out who your architect is, because the builder is only as good as the information provided. Mm-hmm. So that would be, that would be one scenario. The other scenario is the architects and designers that we work with. They've worked with us and our team several times, so they understand their client, and they understand, well, Stetzer Builders might be a great fit for them, or another builder, right? So they get a feel for their clients and who would align with them best based on their target budget, their level of quality, the level of communication, right? All of these little puzzle pieces go together.
Yeah, I love that. So tell me about who's on your team.
Yeah, so it's me, and then we actually have 3 people on our team, Kelly, Carrie, and Katie, and they are all.
Do they all start with Case?
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, and I hired them because just growing up through the years, they were like the best moms I knew. They knew nothing. Everyone on my team knew nothing about construction.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So, but it's very teachable. It's not rocket science. And, with lots of communication and paying attention to details, anyone can learn anything. So they're devoted to budgets and money and communication of money. That's just a really big thing that for some reason in our industry, in the residential industry, can be a little sloppy. And so, we've made it a point to make it a huge part of our business. Just, things happen every day. I just got out of a meeting and we shifted a few decisions in a meeting, and now we've got to go back and figure out, okay, well, what trade is involved here and what kind of time frame, and they're moving in when, so how does this affect the schedule, all that good stuff. And then Melanie is one of our project managers. She was actually in the design world. So she was in the design, she was a designer, and she just wanted to be in the nuts and bolts of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right, well, let's give it a shot here. And now she's like a complete powerhouse. But there was a bridge she had to get over, right? Like in our business, as you know,
mm-hmm.
It's like a doctor. You're on call all the time.
Yes.
You are just on call because we're dealing with emotions of clients, of trades, of designers, architects, and it's constant, paying attention to what they're really telling us, even if it's in their face, really, checking in on that. Yeah. So you're always on. So there was a bridge there that it takes a special person to really be an advocate for others, for your clients, for your designers, architects. And so she made it over that little bridge there, and now she's crushing it. And then there's me. So the two of us are on all of the projects that we run, and we run about, I would say, between 8 and 10 projects at a time.
Wow. How many projects do you do a year?
There are different time frames. So I would say our remodels last between 8 months and 2 years. They're big remodels. And new construction can last anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So I think as long as we're at that 8 to 10 at any point in time, that's our sweet spot.
Yeah.
And there's a whole drill we go through on analyzing, are we a good fit for people we're talking to?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking, that when you went from, a little bit smaller to bigger, that there was probably a lot of, no, I'm not the right fit for your project.
Yeah. And to be honest and upfront about it in the beginning, right? Like
Absolutely.
I mean, it was fine. Like for anyone starting a business, like the first 10 years, we need practice. We need practice bidding. We need practice judging a conversation. We need practice going through the really, really tough people to work for.
And to recognize them at the beginning.
Yeah. And that, you know what? And sometimes we don't, right?
Right.
But I think, the first 10 years, as I look back, I'm like, I'm really glad that I said yes to a lot, because that sped up, experience speeds up the learning process.
Absolutely. So I just want to kind of like go back to your personal makeup, because I know this part's really important to you, of balancing your personal life and your work, and I would love to kind of dive a little bit into what your day looks like starting at your 2:45, 3:45 in the morning, what it looks like now, and like maybe if there's just any like things that work for you. I'm actually teaching a class. My friends and I put together this class. It's called The Unlived Life, and it's about like successful women who are really good at making money, but not balancing the rest of their life, and failing in their marriages, and with their kids and their personal health. And I just, when I was thinking about self-care, and to me, self-care is like not getting your nails done. Like that's not what self-care is. It's actually like the little things that help to take care of your mental health, and making sure that you're in a good place. And I'm just curious what that looks like for you and how you manage, because you're managing a lot of projects, a lot of people, because I'm assuming you have a lot of subs. If you're managing 8 to 10 projects at a time, there's a lot of things going on. And then you have 5 kids and a husband and a life. And so I want to know more about like the in-depth part of that.
Yeah. So my typical day, and I would say this is a standard that I've had since the kids were born. So the whole routine in the morning, I'm a morning person. Some people are
Me
night
too.
people. You're a morning person?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, you know the drill. So, and literally I'm a creature of habit too, because like once I get this routine done, I feel like I can give to others the rest of the day. But that first part is mine. Like, so, wake up at 3:35, I do 10 minutes of jumping rope, and then I go to the pool and I swim 2,000, 2,500 meters. I come home, I get in an ice bath. So we have an ice bath in our garage. It's 46 degrees, and I hop in that for 2 minutes because that just sort of sets the tone for like, you have to embrace what you don't want to do. Like
Yeah.
it just totally stinks. You hate it. A lot of times I get it, I'm like swearing it. Like, why am I doing this? So anyway, so hit that head on. Like, I'm going to hit it right now. This is how my day's going to roll.
How long have you been doing
And then
the ice bath?
I'm only into it a year. So every day for a year now. And that's a whole new conversation. It's like life changing. I would never
Is
stop
it
at this point.
really?
Mm-hmm.
People
It
are
is.
like, I mean, I know it's like the fad thing now, but obviously Tony Robbins has been doing it for decades.
A while. Yeah.
So anyways, go ahead,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. So ice bath. And then I do 20 to 30 minutes of praying, meditating, just, slowing down, and then, and just being aware of what could happen during the day and how I want to react to things. And so that's very intentional to just get my baseline. And then we get the kids up, and then they're off to school and I'm off to work. And when the kids were younger, I would try to be home by like 3:30 when they're out of school. And again, that, I'd carry 2 or 3 projects at the time. So
right.
Not the load I'm carrying now, but I was always trying to be with them, but then also think through a project, a difficulty we were having. So I tried to merge the two together. And pretty routine, 5:30 dinners. One of the things that I'm so thankful for, even as the kids grew up, we have family dinners at least 5 days a week, most times 6 days a week. And that's been the one solid thing that Alec and I just said, like, that's our time where the kids can just sort of ask questions, or we can ask them questions. And, it's just our time to be open with each other. So that's been a major family thing, even through the sports and activities. And I don't know how we managed.
I don't know how you did that with like 5 kids in sports. They have 2
Yeah,
kids, and
no,
I'm like,
I don't know. We got lucky. Their practices are right after school. The other thing too is Alec. So he cooks like my husband. So he, about 13 or 14 years ago, we decided that, long story short, he had cancer at one point in his life, and he had been laid off from a job, and he's good. He's fine now. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, and he said, Erin, he had stage 4 cancer. He said, when you've looked at life in the eyes, like life or death, straight on in the eyes, you get really clear about how you want to live the rest of it. And he said, I want to be with the kids. And I said, oh, okay, well then we got to figure out how to get this business going, because both of us, were working at the time. So we did. We just huddled up and figured out, like, okay, these are the things you're going to have to do, and these are the things I'm going to have to do. And there was no whining about it, right?
Right.
Get used to laundry, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're on laundry. You're on cook. He loves to cook. And then same thing with me, like, get things done. Like, I don't care how you get it done, but get it done.
Right.
So that did play into like family dinners and making sure
they're supporting. Yeah, you're not both.
Totally.
Yeah, because both my husband and I work, and it's like trying to get everybody. My goal is 1 day a week dinner, like that we sit down and we have.
Yeah.
But it's like, at least I'm really consistent about that.
Yes.
But,
and Yeah.
I think that's important to be able to have the balance. And has there been ever a dynamic between the two of you where like it was like obviously his choice? Has there ever been anybody that's like judged you guys or made you feel uncomfortable about your choice or made him feel bad? I'm sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, he knows every mom in the 8th grade, and they're all friends. But yeah, there's that moment where like I was at carpool all the time, and now Alec is at carpool, and just and whenever you'd go to like a soccer game, people introduce themselves. Oh, Alec, what do you do? Right? It's like that.
Yeah.
What do I say? Like,
right.
Yeah.
I
But
stay home with the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's the kind of guy who, again, he's very clear on why he's doing it. So
it doesn't
that's his answer,
him.
and he doesn't judge it.
Yeah. Have you dealt with any guilt around just not being able to be as home as much with the kids?
No, because I really make an effort to do my work and do my things when they're not home.
Right.
So like even to, I mean, they're out of school now, but like they come in, they arrive around 3:45. Well, I'm at home and at 3:45.
Right.
Yeah.
And so again, and like, are you really good about the boundary with that? Like not checking your email, not checking your phone at night?
Much better now because I have a team, but people, right, if you don't have a team, like many, many years, it was just me.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was exhausted. Alec would pull me aside sometimes and say, get off your phone, like, stop it. So I did need his reminders, like, because there's this pressure, like, well, I'm the income, like these kids, like we have school to pay for. Yeah. And they need to eat and college. And so he would definitely pull me aside. And that's that bumpy road part, where you just, I needed him to say, cut it off.
Yeah. Be done.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In a healthy way, right? Like I appreciate him doing that.
I think that both my husband and I do that to each other. Like, hey, enough, like we're with the family. But we also like understand that there's fires you have to put out and things you have to do. And hey, let me just take care of this really quick and I'll be done or whatever. But it is hard.
And you know what? I think it's good for the kids to see that too. And I say that now because my kids are in high school and college, and they remember that, like they know what it's like for you to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
And they learn very early on, like there are urgent things that have to be prioritized sometimes. Yeah. Like it just happened. We had a roof leak and one of my kids was home from college. She was on her way home and there was this house and we should not have had this roof leak and what's going on. And all I wanted that day was to like hang out with her because she was only going to be home for 2 days.
Yeah.
But I said, Morgan, I'm sorry. Like I can't be with you today because I need to fix this roof leak now. So they get it. And I think that influences, okay, if you say you're going to do something, you do it regardless. Absolutely. Right. So they see that in you.
So tell me about YouTube.
Oh.
Well, I know that, like, I love your online presence and I love that you're, really trying to pass on knowledge about the building process and what you do. And it's such at a high level that I'm sure that most people have no idea that you take 21 steps to paint your trim. You know what I mean? Like most people put a primer on and, paint and call it a day. So where did that desire come from to like start the YouTube channel and do all of that? And are you still enjoying it? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Like the one, like I love this business because every day you and I get to show up and like watch these people do their work and how they think through it and why it's important to take the steps they take in order to achieve the look they want. And and I've always been amazed. And I like, whenever I walk into a house, I'm literally like, oh my, what are you doing? Like, what were you thinking here? Like, I didn't even know that. Every day I learned something. And I was like, I'm just going to like film this because this is so life. Like, this is life. Like, these men and women are out there. They probably have never been formally trained. They've learned, a lot of generational businesses. Most of the companies that we work with, they learned from their brother, their dad, their mom, their uncle, and it's generational. And they just have these amazing little secrets and tricks and things they do that it's not in a textbook.
Right.
But they know it and they care about it and they do it without even like, thinking. I'm not telling them. Yeah. So I've always been really amazed and just like so thankful for them that it's just part of it's just part of my day. Like when I'm making the rounds, we just kind of walk around and talk about whatever's happening that day. So there's really not much organization to it. But what I have learned, which has been really eye-opening through Instagram and YouTube and people reaching out, we are going to launch some digital courses for people who want to get into building, just like your story. There's no textbook.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, right. You flipped homes and you learned like the easy way and the painful way. I was
like, oh, that color is awful. We are going to have to repaint it.
Yeah. Right. So
I made the wrong decision.
Right. And it happens. Yeah. That's the thing too, is like, I think, there's a lot of wrong decision making that we have to like quickly. Yeah, I got that wrong. We got to do it this way.
Yeah,
like that's constant, and that's also life. Yeah, so we are gonna start these digital courses for people either who are going to build a home. We've heard from people that are in situations in a build that are not good, and they're trying to resolve that, and they just they're looking for
like how to manage advice. Their own project type of thing.
Yep. Yeah. Where the communication was off and something went the wrong direction with the builder.
And the thing is like, if you know the steps of construction, it is the same every time. And like, it's repeatable, and like the average person can learn how to manage a project. And as long as you really have good subs and people that you trust, I think that's probably the most important part. And, helping them manage. So you're kind of trying to go down that road.
Yeah. And I'd love to see more women in the industry. It's the perfect job, like for a mom. It really is.
Drive around.
It's a lot of, I will say, when growing the business, it's also like dealing with kids. There's a lot of chaos in construction. There's quite a bit of trying to get like knowing where you want to be and getting a trade mentally there so then they can execute it. So there's a lot of negotiating and believing in people and all these good things. So anyway,
so it needs to be like, if you're a good mom, you can be a good project manager.
For sure. That's the only criteria.
Yeah. If you're managing more than one child, you can manage a project.
Yeah. And you and I both work with mostly men, which is amazing. And I love working with men. They're, as long as they understand something or they're clear about something, they crush it.
Yeah.
It's when we are not setting them up well that things there's hesitation. So again, so that's our job. We need to set everybody up well.
Yes, I've learned that. My project manager does such a beautiful job at that. Like, she knows the intricacies of every single sub and what they want, and how they want it set up. And, you know, but like, she's only learned that by like doing it wrong. And they're patient enough with her to go, hey, next time, like when you frame this in, this is how I want my shower pan. I want, you know, 3 2x4s set up for the dance, whatever it is. It's like, she's like, okay, got it. You know, and like, she takes notes and, hey, is this how you want it? It's ready to go. Yes. You know, it's just, it's cool to see like how much we just try to set them up for success, as you know, as much as possible, and learn what went wrong last time and implement it well this time. And I think our subs really appreciate that we actually listen to them.
Yeah, you're right.
So what is like, any of your kids are they interested in the industry? I'm just wondering.
Yeah. So as of right now, no. I think part of it is they see what you and I do, and it's a lot of hard work, and you have to really love it, just like anything. And I think what they've learned is whatever they do, they really need to love it.
Yeah,
and
that's so funny. That's what my daughter said. She's like, well, Mom, you really love it, you know? And I was like, you're right. I do. I really do love what I do. And I think that is being portrayed to my children, that it's okay to go through a journey in life and to, you know, like I did something for a long time I didn't absolutely love. I was really good at it, but I didn't love it. And being able to step into that, I for them to be able to take that life lesson and apply it in whatever realm or area that they want would be a win.
Yeah. And that's your daughter?
Yeah.
And how old is she?
She's 11.
Oh yeah, so that's perfect. She's catching on early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give maybe somebody that's starting out or possibly thinking about coming into this area of work? Like, what type of traits or personality or, you know, strengths, what type of things? Because project management is not for everybody. Construction's not for everybody. You have to be able to me, it's like to solve problems very quickly and to feel confident in them. You can't get your feelings hurt too easily.
That's a good one. That's a really,
yeah, you just have to be able to be like, yeah. Oh my gosh, the other day I walked into a job site and I was like coming from my kids' thing and I was in like shorts and sandals and I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to, you know, not be in my normal jeans and boots. And he's like, and one of the subs was like, it's okay, you're great to look at. And I was like, oh, okay, you can get off my job now. Like, that's so inappropriate. I was so mad. But anyways, what advice, can you believe that? I was just like, and he's a new sub, he hasn't worked for me before. And I went up to my super and I was like,
yeah,
we're done.
Probably, that'll be in the digital course.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. No one to ask them.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give?
So I'm thinking, about project managers. So definitely what the major one, like you said, is don't take anything personally ever. It's not about you. Right. So that's never be offended, right? Never be offended. I think it's really important to have the ability to go deep on details. So just because you have a set of plans, like actually this is just something I was looking at, a fireplace detail. And and right, so you see 2 dimensions there. There's a length and a height, or sorry, a width and a height. And so to me, like in my head, like the details are like, okay, well, what height do we need to set the firebox? And am I finishing out the brick inside with something a little thicker? Does that affect my hearth height? What are we using for our hearth, right? Like all of these things that the just making the effort to think through, like we know the end, we got to work backwards before we start. I think that's a big one. And I think the more successful project managers start with the end.
Backwards.
and work backwards. Yeah, just to like churn through all those details. And then the other part is communication. So one major thing on our team is we have with our clients and team, we have a daily top 5. We text every morning. Here are the 5 things we're working on at your house every morning, and that's issued before 10 a.m. We also have weekly meetings with designers, architects, trades, anyone involved in decision making that week or things that need to be cleared up. We have weekly reports. Like, we're not shy, and project managers are not shy about, this is what we need from the architect, the designer, the client. Here's what we're doing. So like 3 levels of communication a week. So project managers, I would say, have to be comfortable communicating. You could be the best project manager in the world, and if it doesn't get out,
it's all in your head.
Yeah. So I think those are the majors, and then always learning, right? So like, whenever I notice anyone, whether it's a trade and let's say a trade and this happens, oh, this is the way we always do it. I literally stop them, stop them and say, we're not continuing this conversation. So I'll bring the owner in. Yeah. So just the willingness to like stretch and try to learn something and be open to dialogue. Yeah.
I think that, and you do get pushback. I have, one of the guys that works for me, and he'll get real stubborn about certain things. And I'm like, I totally understand that that's how you want it, but like, we are a team and we've got to get to the same goal. And if you're not willing to give, then like, we can't achieve what the owner wants. And so it's kind of like they're stuck in their ways of, this is how it should be done, and we have to do it this way, and no, we can't do that. And I was like, there's always a solution. Let's be creative. Like, instead of just like, no.
Right. And maybe the solution's with another person, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, with the project manager role, at least in my world, they have to be willing to get dirty. Like, sometimes the site just like, you show up and it's not how it should be, or the person doesn't show up that day and you've got to throw insulation in yourself, or like whatever it is, like not just go, oh, someone else will take care of it. Like, sometimes you just have to get your hands dirty and help the project move along in whatever way.
Yeah, totally agree. And
we try to
avoid the trenches.
I know my project, she loves, like, anytime a trade's like, hey, do you want to come help with this? She's like, yes, I do.
That's so good, because she's learning like 10 times faster than
that's amazing.
Anybody else. Yeah.
Okay, Erin, so tell people where they can find you, follow you, hire you, all the things.
So we're in Houston, Texas, and so we're in Houston, Texas. We are on Instagram, Stetzer Builders, and also YouTube, Stetzer Builders. And we'll be launching these digital courses for people wanting to build, for people for clients wanting to build, for trades. We get a lot of questions from trades, like, hey, how do I be like an A+ electrician? Well, we're going to go through like 10 things you need to do as an electrician if you want to up your game. We'll be launching courses for anyone like you and I who want to become a builder but don't know the route. So we're basically taking all this feedback and just trying to support people and becoming better and better at what they do every day.
That's amazing. So do you service just kind of only Houston area?
We do. We will.
I know Houston is huge.
It is huge. But it's funny. We have an 8-mile radius in Houston. Really? So yes, our projects are within 8 miles, and it's very intentional, because with a remodel, you have to be there several times a day.
Yes.
New construction, at least once a day. But we are going to expand in the next 5 years, and it's very much related to my now freshmen. Our last one will be in college, so that's when we'll expand.
Oh, that's amazing. You are just an incredible human to begin with, and builder and mother. And I just admire you and I appreciate you. And thank you for putting all of your incredible knowledge and wisdom and beauty out into the world.
Well, thank you, Stefanie, and thank you for everything you do. And I think people, where do they reach you? You have a lot to share with people.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you. We'll put our podcast everywhere. Our podcast plays everywhere that podcasts can be listened to. So Spotify, Apple Music, all the places. And, we're on at shebuilds.homes is our Instagram. So
I love it.
Are there. Yes. Well, thank you, Erin. I would love to
thank you,
maybe
Stefanie.
Someday meet you in person. Do you go to the International Builder Show ever?
Yeah, I haven't been in years, but that's what we should do. We should meet up at the Builder Show.
Amazing. I think I'm speaking at it again next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be there.
I'll be
cheering for you.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you, Erin. Have an amazing day.
You too. Thank you, Stefanie.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me today on the She Build Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Builds swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.